Johnny Phonic.
This is the Patriots Postgame Show.
Brady under center, a give to Burkett, runs it left for the win! Touchdown, Patriots!
The Patriots Postgame Show with Hardy, Mike Dussault, and Paul Perillo is your source for the latest news and information following every Patriots game.
And the Patriots have won their 6th Super Bowl title. In the early 2000s, they won 3 of 4. Now they have won 3 of the last 5. Yes, it's still a dynasty.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
I hope y'all keep that same energy for tonight, baby. Can't wait.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
Slipping and sliding, he was like a cat. Pop, pop, bang. Patriots win. I think they won. What was the final? Patriots win preseason game number 1. Live from Foxborough, we are at Gillette Stadium for the Patriots and their game against the Washington football team tonight. In exciting fashion, get the 22-13 victory, essentially on a last-minute. Oh my God! It was just
scintillating.
Oh,
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Where do we even begin? There's probably too much. We should probably just do it in written form. Check Patriots.com tomorrow for columns
right now,
from both Mike Dussault
it's already up.
and Paul Perillo, and I think that's a better way to recap.
Just Mike Dussault.
Okay, all right, no, forget about that. And, hey, we'll catch you for the pregame Thursday against the Eagles. Thanks, everyone. No, we're going to do the whole show.
All of it.
All right, let's do the whole show. All right, gentlemen.
All right, let's get into it.
A lot to get into here tonight. Initial thoughts before we get to the good, the bad, and the injured. Mike Dussault.
Pretty good start, I thought, from some guys, and I think it's like any preseason game. There are things that you like and things that you don't like. I thought some of the rookies had a nice little debut. I think some of the guys that have been playing well in camp translated it to the game field tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think it was sloppy, as you might expect, especially on defense. I mean, I thought that first half they were just kind of letting them go right down the field. Long drives, couldn't really get off. But again, it's preseason, so not reason to go crazy, but some good, some bad.
Paul?
Yeah, I would agree overall with Mike. I think there were more positives. When the frontline guys were in the game, I thought some of them flashed. Some of them looked pretty good. I thought Mac Jones perfectly suitable debut. And I'm kind of glad that there were some ups and downs, because now I think that might temper some of the overreactions a little bit. I thought he made some plays. I thought he showed at times some good pocket presence and other times some not so good pocket presence. But I agree with Mike's overall take. You get back out there, some of the things that we've seen on the practice field, we saw, and specifically with the offense, sort of quick rhythm stuff. Short throws to the backs. When Mac Jones was at his best on the training camp practice field, it was like that first drive of the third quarter
8 straight
with
passes.
the tempo.
Yep.
No throw that went beyond 3 yards. Just get it out quick, let it go. Have your guys make plays down the field and see if they can break some tackles. And I agree defensively. A little bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah, I think there were some flashes for the lashes offensively. I think defensively they were sloppy and at times almost, dare I say, lack of intensity, not fully engaged.
Yeah, not Matt Judon.
On a couple of few plays. Special teams I thought were sloppy and just some. I don't know how many false starts.
They had 9 penalties too. Yeah.
It's just going to drive Bill Belichick absolutely up a wall.
Yeah.
But overall, from what I saw in Camp 2, some of that translated, especially for Mac Jones. So let's get into it. Let's do the good, the bad, and the injured. Here we go.
Now it's time for the good.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
The bad.
If you were in my toilet bowl, I wouldn't bother flushing it.
And the injured.
You are a gay!
Every time. I get a laugh out of that every time. And
I do too.
I was still laughing into the third quarter tonight about what Matt did to poor George in Virginia in the pregame. So that just brings a smile to my face.
By far and away the nicest member of this pre and post-game show, and he's still getting made fun of for doing that to the poor George.
So let's get to the good, the bad, and the injured. We'll start with you, Mike Dussault. First on your good now, in no particular order. We'll just rattle off some goods.
I'm just going to start with Mac just because you already mentioned him, and I think that we should kind of talk about him a little bit. But I think what Paul said was was right. I think that he, stayed within himself. He showed kind of what we've seen, which is looks comfortable, was getting the ball out, was decisive where he threw it. I think that Wilkerson touchdown, had Wilkerson caught that one, would have been, wow, what an exclamation point for that drive. But, and I also, just missed Gunner deep too. That one, maybe not on Gunner, but I think it was great. I just think that, as Paul said, when he came out in the second half, they went no huddle. He completed 8 straight passes, nothing dynamic, nothing crazy, but just decisive. And, it kind of shows the contrast between how the offense kind of operates with Cam and how it kind of operates with Mac. And I think it's a good start. I think he's got a long way to go in the offense, but it's a good start, and he's making the plays that are there.
I think the deep miss to Olszewski, I wouldn't put on Gunner either because he's Gunner. I mean,
well, he overthrew him. I mean, that one
he overthrew him,
but I mean,
a tiny bit.
That's not an easy throw.
It's not an easy throw.
But I like the shot. I like that he took those plays and he tried to make some plays down the field.
The throw to Wilkerson was not perfect either, but that was a better throw than the one to Gunner.
I think Wilkerson
could have had that.
I think he could have maybe given me a half an extra step, outstretched the hands a little bit more.
Totally agree.
Was not impressed with his effort on that one, but
2021 season, and we're just all in agreement.
I know. We're, as Fred Durst would say, we are in agreement. So far.
The only thing I would add to Mike, and I had Mac on my good list, but I actually had it 10/1. I put Cam there too. Cam only played 2 series. I'm basically going off the first half. They both played, in essence, 2 series in the first half, and they both moved the ball very effectively on one series and then not so much on the other. But I would say everything that Mike said about Mac when the ball was getting moved, that's the way they want to play offense. That's what it was when Cam played in that second drive. It was nothing fancy. It was running the ball. Damian Harris, there was a lot of Damian Harris in that drive. There was a little shallow cross to Jonnu Smith, Mike, that we've seen countless times on the practice field. Unfortunately, it looked like they were getting ready to go in for a touchdown, and Jonnu got called for the hold, which sort of short-circuited that drive. But I thought he made a nice throw down the middle to start to, I think, Jacoby Myers.
Yep.
Nothing fancy, nothing great, but progress. I thought offensively you saw, for those that are thinking, can the offense be a little better? There were glimmers of why it might be better tonight. And I thought with both guys playing.
Yep.
Cam was the first one I put on the bad list tonight, Paul, because my barometer or my benchmark for him was the presumptive starting quarterback for the 2021 New England Patriots. And especially starting with a 3 and out and not exactly making up for it in his short time on the field.
He did lead their longest scoring drive of the night.
He did, and I will not. In fairness, I don't think I should.
91-yard run by Stevens.
We'll discount that.
I'm not going to put him on the good list. Certainly, the most I can do is take him off my bad list for you.
Okay,
but
so much for the simpatico.
I don't think he belongs on the good list. Now, the performance was too short. That's not his fault. But in his short time out there, he didn't do anything to impress me as he looks like a different Cam than he did last year.
He looks
5 to
10% better. I think that
I totally agree with you. It was very similar. I didn't like the sack. It ended up being an incomplete pass, but we'll get to that later in the program.
It was a fumble, I thought.
I thought it was an incomplete pass. Which is Mac Jones's was a fumble.
I thought that too, but okay. I have Matt Judon as the first one I put down on the good list tonight.
Yeah.
Sympathetic.
Hell yeah.
Woo.
That gets a hell yeah from me.
Woo.
I thought that
got real nervous because we will mention him later. It ended up being okay.
A buzzkill.
It was such a buzzkill, but man, there's a football player.
He's a beast.
There's a football player.
I just like the aggressiveness in, I think Bob Sosey during the broadcast mentioned that they were last in the league last year on 3rd and 1.
Yes, he did mention
Now, that was probably closer to 3rd and 2 on that first drive. But he just comes flying off the edge to make a play in the running game. That's what I think you're going to see. I don't think he's a guy that's going to put up gaudy sack numbers and be all over the quarterback. But he's going to make plays like that. And Mike and I have been talking about this all summer. You don't have Chase Winovich on the edge. You don't have John Simon on the edge. Now it's Matt Judon on the edge, and
he's a big boy.
I think there's a difference there.
Yeah, and there was another play I'd point out too where He started the rush. He saw where he was. He stopped, peeled off, and got into coverage and, kind of helped force the incompletion. And that little series where it was just like, and he had like the red sleeves on too, so he just like jumps off the field.
Spider-Man. I don't know.
But I've enjoyed listening to him kind of talk, and he's one of those guys I put in the category of just serious football dude.
Like him.
Who gets after it.
Like him a lot.
I really like him. Great debut for him. Was sick to my stomach when I saw him. Like, of course, he comes out, makes 2 plays, and then he gets hurt. But the helmet slam was what got me. That was what when he slammed the helmet down, I'm like, oh, that's not good. He he walked in, he walked out. So
I think he was a little more angry. Like Hardy said, we'll get to that too.
Yeah.
All right, let's do another good here, Mike. What do you got?
I put Wilkerson on. I mean, I think he had some drops and there was some inconsistency there, but he had a bunch of catches again, and I can't put him. I have to recognize him for that. Leading the team in catches. If he had caught that Mac Jones pass, that would have been great. But I worry about his inconsistent hands. That continues to kind of show up. But he's kind of fighting through it right now. And I think we've seen other receivers with issues with drops. And the guy was an undrafted rookie last year who was on the practice squad. He came up for a couple games, got maybe a carry. So really, this is like his rookie year. So I think it was a promising, debut, if you will, from him. I thought he carried over what he's been doing on the field. On the practice field onto the game field.
I thought that the drops, and he was. I was surprised to see. It was like one of those games. It's like, wow, he caught it 6 times, because I definitely remember 2 big drops.
Yep.
Or ones that he didn't one that he didn't haul in and 1 drop. But 6 catches for 39 yards. I will not protest.
Yeah,
I didn't put him on the good list.
I didn't have him on the good list either, but I have no protest. No formal protest lodged.
I think he was, on the radar, which, even like the drops and the deep drop, I think it just, he dropped it, but it shows, Mac had him, saw him, tried to hit him. So I like the game, but acknowledging the drops are an issue, and he's going to have to clean that up.
Boss man in the house.
Fred Kirsch joining us early on in the post game. Good to see you, Fred. Take your time. Oh my God, he just licked. Now
he's going to put the donut down on the table again and gross me out. I'm going to move right along.
Take all the napkins.
File.
Is it early?
First, use all the napkins. One of the guys I had on my good list early on didn't get a ton of playing time. It was J.C. Jackson, and it was specifically
second. Thank you.
It
Second
was basically for only 1 play.
Yep.
It was I like to gauge what happens when there are players on the field that are familiar to me. Terry McLaurin's a really good receiver in this league. He caught a nice pass down the middle to start the first drive for Washington. And then J.C. Jackson, the next drive, had beautiful coverage on him.
So nice.
Exactly what we've seen in training camp.
Yep.
That was a good sign. I think he's going to need to be better, especially if Stephon Gilmore doesn't return.
I think
so. I had him for that coverage on McLaurin.
I had the exact same thing, and I thought the same thing, Paul. It's like I don't know if it's really enough to put him on the good list, but it's a goofy preseason game. So you give me a couple of good plays, it's good enough to put on the good list. Is one bad play enough to keep you off, Nordine? No, it's not, because that heavy foot we were talking about in the pregame is enough for me to put him on. Good grief. I mean, over the net on that first field goal, somebody got a nice souvenir. Did they get to keep those, or did they go get those balls back?
I think they get to keep those in regular season.
Okay.
But, yeah.
They'll find Quinn Nordine, though, for it.
Yeah, the extra point miss was just, I don't know. Chalk it up to just goofiness on the night. But that looks like a guy who's making a case for himself.
I had him on my good list, and I just want to add that I put him with Brian Corey, because it didn't seem to be any issues with all the snaps tonight. A guy who was on LinkedIn, yesterday. Give him credit. It's not an easy thing to do to just walk onto the field and execute. I thought that operation was good tonight. Unfortunately, he missed that extra point, but I don't think that was on the snap or anything. So I would say both of those guys, the operation was solid.
Fred, so far we've got Mac, we've got Judon. Wilkerson was a split decision, as was Cam was a split decision. Who do you have on your good list tonight?
I was going to say Wilkerson. I think he did enough to get more looks.
Okay.
In other words, if you're a coach, you're like, okay, I need to see more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, making plays.
I don't know that I need to see a ton more. As a true receiver position, let me see some more football. Let me see what else he can do. Not
Well,
just
yeah,
as a,
but
as
I mean,
a wideout. You know.
Yeah, and I think they're really giving him a lot of reps and special teams during camp.
Well, that's the thing too, is that they threw him the ball. I mean, the catches that he had are the catches that he made were catches that you have to make. I mean, he averaged 6 yards a catch.
Right.
So, like, that's the thing. When you're throwing quick screens to guys, you're force-feeding the ball to a guy. This is just what we've seen. Like, they seem to like him. They seem to want to find a role for him.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to –
Yeah. All right. We are going to go to the Patriots locker room right now and welcome in Josh Uche after preseason game number 1 and a win for the Patriots tonight. Josh, thanks for joining us here on the Patriots postgame show. How you doing?
Doing good. How you guys doing?
Excellent.
Good. Hey, Josh, I got to ask you, last year you didn't play in front of fans here in the stadium, just top off. You know, what was it like to get out there with some fans making some noise for you and bringing that energy?
I mean, it was great to see them out there, see them out there with, their families and just having a good time and, kind of supporting us. So, anytime we can have the fans riled up for us, it's definitely a good thing.
Josh, I want to ask you a little bit about your off-season and maybe some of the conditioning and strength and conditioning work you've done. Listen, I'm not a football coach. I'm not an expert by any means, but you look to me to have put on some weight and look a little stronger to me. Was that something that was a goal for you in the off-season?
I mean, definitely. I mean, just trying to get better, working out hard, working with Coach Moses and Coach Duran and, Jared and all the guys in the building, kind of just trying to see how can I be a better football player. And those guys helped me come up with a plan and, we kind of just grinded at it, during the off season and, hopefully just keep getting better each and every week and, stack brick on brick, bricks on top of bricks and just keep getting better.
Josh, what was the biggest challenge out there tonight in terms of the conditions? Looked like you may have been dealing with a cramping issue at some point. I mean, the hydration had to have been constant throughout the night. What was the biggest challenge?
The challenge is just, it's just the first preseason game. We're all getting our feet wet again and kind of getting back into that football atmosphere, that football game day mentality, game day atmosphere, and, just kind of getting our feet back wet and getting back used to that groove. And, I'd say that's the biggest thing right there.
Josh, there's a lot of new faces in the front seven. We've seen a lot of competition in camp, and it seemed to follow through today in the game. What's the overall vibe in the front seven? There's just a lot of guys competing out there, and it seems like there's a lot of good depth. What's the vibe among everyone?
I mean, the vibe is good, I would say. We all learn. We're learning from each other, especially the veterans like Hightower and Van Noy and Judon and, kind of just learning from those guys and kind of just trying to, do our best to make those guys proud and, we all just trust in one another, So.
Yeah, well, so far from what we've heard from Van Noy, it looks like he's gotten over his shyness, so that's nice. Must be nice to have him back and see that he's coming out of his shell a little bit. Josh, great game tonight. Thanks so much for joining us, and good luck next week.
All right, thank you so much.
Appreciate it. There he goes, Josh Uche there, joining us post-game. Here, I had him written down a little bit later as there was a moment where he seemed like he had some kind of an issue, looked like it could be a knee or something. I think there was a lot of, just hydration.
A lot of that,
yeah.
Judon had a scare, and Bryant went down late. But I just
let's not jump the gun on the good, the bad, and the injured, though.
No, but
that's
another guy besides Wilkerson, I thought, the front seven overall kind of impressed me, just their energy. And Bentley, I thought, had a decent game, and I thought your guy Ronnie had a decent game. He flashed.
He finally showed me
something. I have
something
Ronnie
tonight.
on my list. For the second half, he didn't play much in the game, but when he got in the game, he showed up. Now, the key for him will be, can he do that when he gets increased reps against better competition?
Yeah, good pressure, I thought, from Ronnie. But he's
two
a guy
or three different times
that I've said during camp. I haven't really seen him. He doesn't get a lot of opportunities, and this was the first time where this is what happens in these games where they finally get a chance. So good for him to get out there, make some plays. I think that's something for him to build off.
Who else was good tonight, Deuce? Who played real good football tonight?
I'm going to give a little shout out. I'm going to have Jawan Williams on there, and I think that's more of an end of the game thing. But he had interception, pass breakup.
I got him on my list, buddy. I'm with you. I got you.
And again, it almost relates exactly
Shouldn't
to
be
Ronnie
playing in the fourth quarter of these
where.
games.
Well, I think they need a guy like that, and I think he had a presence tonight as a press man corner. And some of the concerns I had about Mills kind of bore out early in the game, so I know he's playing in the fourth quarter. I know
that will show up later in the program too.
Yeah, so I think that it was just a good confidence building game for him. Get his hand on a couple balls, pass breakup, interception. Hopefully he can build off of that. It's the first time in 3 years I felt like, hey, there's Juwan Williams. He's starting to show up. It's just, again, like Ronnie, first time I was like, making plays finally.
All right. How about another good for you, Paul?
All right, well, I had 3 different things that I put down, but I'll just count it all as one. The running backs. All of the running backs I thought were impressive tonight. I thought Michelle, Harris, Stevenson, obviously with the touchdown drive. I don't really care about the 91-yard run. The touchdown drive, I thought he was outstanding on, running in between the tackles with power. And then J.J. Taylor out of the backfield and also running with power.
And I wouldn't forget James White early. He looked like the
nice
old
screen
James
play.
White.
He had a nice, like, 17-yard
screen call, Fred. He did.
Yeah.
I almost texted you guys because I was, I don't know, maybe overinflating Davian Harris a little bit in the pregame when I said he was Sanders-esque at times during camp with the shimmy of the shoulders. He didn't look Sanders-esque, but I thought he had a good game. Stevenson had a great game, and I like that element of the preseason where there are times when they truly don't overthink it. When Stevenson's in the game, he's feeling a little bit. Well, just keep giving him the rock until they figure out a way to stop him. It's almost got like a peewee football feel to it.
Absolutely.
And I can relate to that. I'm watching him like, that's what I would do until they figure out a way to stop him from picking up 4 yards every time he touches the ball.
Well,
keep giving it to Stevenson.
And I hear you, but they're not doing it for that reason. They're doing it just to see this guy get some work.
Right.
To get some things on tape and see, how he's reacting to the blocking and so on. So, but I agree with you. Like keep working him. Let's see what he can do.
There was on one of those runs, I thought he had the linebacker beat on the outside or whoever was setting the edge there. And instead he cut back in. And the second he did it, I thought, oh, what are you doing? And he picked up 3 more yards that I don't know that he would have gotten based on just his speed and his style of runner that he is.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, good decision in that moment. Good gain on the play. I liked him. I thought he absolutely belongs on the good list, along with the other runners that you mentioned.
I think they all do.
I thought all the running backs I thought looked good tonight. Now I think you also saw. I actually thought the Redskins, the football team's running backs. You saw, I thought, a bunch of guys tonight that haven't done any tackling.
Exactly.
Both sides of the ball. Yeah.
Can I drop one huge moment for me that happened during the game at halftime? Standing there minding my own business, and Joe Theismann came into the booth where I was watching the game. And he came in there, of course, to shoot the S with Zoe a little bit. And and I'm just like, just be cool. Just be cool. Just stand here like it's no big deal. And he walked out, and I leaned over to Jim Louth, the producer. I'm like, that was Joe Theismann. Like, how cool is that? It's like, because you think Washington football team and everything that you think about. I wasn't expecting to see Joe Theismann 4 feet away from me tonight. What's that?
I'm sorry, he doesn't excite me.
You don't like Joe Theismann?
No, he wasn't on any of the teams that Fred loved when he was growing up.
If John Elway walked in the booth, I might be like, how's your hands?
You got nothing for Joe Theismann.
No.
Paul?
No.
Probably a little more than them, but a little less than you.
Guys are all jerks.
Jerks now.
Yeah.
When you covered this game for as long as I have, you don't really
decades.
I can't have an opinion about a football player. I'm a jerk.
You gotta love him.
I don't know that you have to love him, but I think you should be suitably impressed with the man's presence. I kept looking at his leg.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Leg. Broke his leg.
Anybody have any other goods
any other
before we
goods?
move on to the
I
bads?
don't.
No, that pretty much covers it.
I'm good with the goods. All right, let's start with the bads, Paul.
My first bad is something that Mike sort of touched on, Jalen Mills. I think there's a spotlight on that spot. Bad sentence structure there. But there's a spotlight there. You don't have Stephon Gilmore. You're wondering who's going to play opposite J.C. Jackson. Certainly looks like they want it to be Jalen Mills. Jalen Mills was not a good cornerback when he played for the Philadelphia Eagles, and Jalen Mills doesn't look like a really good cornerback when he plays for the Patriots either. I think he struggled in virtually every training camp practice that we've watched, and I thought he struggled tonight early in the game. Terry McLaurin's a good player. This is why I had J.C. Jackson on my good list. Terry McLaurin's a good player. He beat him badly. More concerning to me is a rookie third-round pick, De'Ami Brown, running right by him on I want to say the second, third down of the game, and Fitzy just overthrew him. But he was open. And even Zoe on the broadcast when the ball was in there, he goes, he's got to step. Like, You know, as
was
they like
beat
to say,
badly.
the scouts like to say, he was out of phase
Yep.
on that play, and that's something I'm going to keep an eye on. That other cornerback spot.
That was he looked severely overmatched or out of phase or whatever you want to call it. How about bad from you, Fred?
Well, you know, like some of the linebackers late in the game were overrunning tackles, like Malayu and. But
you gotta love the boss man.
I can't.
What stood out to you, bad? I don't know, the 7th linebacker.
Right,
that played-
exactly. Well, if you let me finish, Paul. But it's hard to put those guys on a bad list because they're, you know, playing at the end of the game and they're not. You don't expect much to them. As far as the first quarter, I mean, I know you guys had Cam on the good list.
I did.
I was the only one.
He was my first bad.
Yeah.
His second drive was excellent. He only played 2 drives. He had one bad one and one excellent one.
So if you thought that second drive was excellent, then Mac Jones should be in the Hall of Fame right now.
It's the longest. That was the longest drive of the night.
Okay, but you're putting Mac Jones in the Hall of Fame, right?
Mac Jones was on my good list. They're both in the good list.
Okay, but if you this is
And
why I
Mac
put him
Jones
on the
played
bad
it-
list.
See, he makes fun of the receivers for only catching 6-yard passes, but the quarterbacks, like, they're the ones that threw it. So why are you giving him so much credit?
I'm not giving him a lot of credit. They were both on my good list. Now I'm getting yelled at for putting guys on the good list.
If Cam were to play a full game and 50% of his series were acceptable and ended up as a field goal or something shorter, would you put him on the good list at the end of the night?
And if 50% of his drives were scoring drives, he'd be on the good list. Yes.
Yeah, but he can't punch it in. You know, like
Fred.
they get that final play. It's like 3rd and short, and he's got a receiver 10 feet from him, and he messes up the throw. Yeah. You know, and they have to kick a field goal.
They didn't score a touchdown because they got a holding call.
Yeah, Johnu.
They were down to the 1-yard line, and they got a holding call on John Smith. That's why they didn't score a touchdown.
Here's what I was measuring Cam against tonight: is the presumptive starting quarterback Week 1 against Miami, and by that metric, I can't put him on the good list. What I saw tonight in those 2 series.
I'm not arguing that you guys are wrong for not putting him on the good list. He's on my good list, but I'm not saying that you guys are out of your mind for not. Like, this was the greatest performance I've ever seen.
I know what this is.
I'm
This is a preemptive strike for all the breathless takes that are going to be Mac Jones, and I get it.
Wait a minute.
we covered it.
Wait a minute. Are you going to have a breathless take for Mac Jones?
They're going to be tomorrow on
Oh,
the
I don't-
radio.
I don't
You're going to
think
hear
so.
people saying how great he was.
Oh, well, then I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if you get that.
Okay.
I would. I think he was fine.
And not half the scoring drives. If half the time he looks okay, half
Here's
the
the
time
thing.
is not good enough.
It's a preseason game. Like, if he played the whole game and it was 3 and out, good drive, then probably not. He only played 2 drives. I can only judge off of what he did in this game, and he didn't play very much. And when he did play, most of his plays were positive.
All right. Okay. All right.
That's the only thing
the
I'm
first
saying.
drive was a 3 and out, wasn't it?
Correct. And most of the plays that he was on the field were positive because he then led a long scoring drive. So most of the time he was out there, something good happened.
Yeah. Can I add just something to that because it kind of piggybacks off it on the bad list here because we were talking about whether or not it was an incomplete pass or a fumble after Cam got sacked. I think it was Isaiah Wynn who got beat up.
Well, he's on my.
That's what I heard.
He's on my.
So,
Chase
you
Young.
heard that?
So that's
He's on my bad list.
So I have like offensive line. I have Martin in there. There was a play late in the game where I thought he didn't look good. I'm like, yeah, I don't know that the offensive line was great tonight.
Yeah, I mean
Martin
Isaiah
had 2 flags.
Isaiah Wynn is like firmly on the bad list. Like you can't like. I know that it was Chase Young. He's got to block Chase Young. That's part of the equation.
It's part of his job.
And
he got nothing.
not even competitive on the play.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. How about a bad?
It's kind of related to Paul's. I mean, Kyle Duggar. I think he was involved in a lot of those kind of passing plays and
In the middle.
and a lot of that stuff was going in the middle. And as I said to Scal during the game, like I've been very high on him, like pumping him up, saying this. He's gonna. And I'm starting to realize like I haven't seen much out of him, and it's kind of been built up in my head. And this game kind of exacerbated a little bit.
I was
Thought he
ready
late
to
in
write him down,
college.
and he made a play. Like as I was writing, he made a play almost
play
right
you're
after it. And I'm
talking
like,
about.
I'm going to leave him off for
and where
now.
was
Play
that
in the
play?
passing or run game?
It was in the passing game, but
Passing.
where was the play?
Middle of the field.
Around the line of scrimmage. And that's, to me, what Mike is talking about. When he can be aggressive, and he's like Uche.
Yeah.
When he's going forward, he's a different player.
I think so. I need to see more out of him, and I think he's a key player. I think they want to really rely on him as that second safety, playing up, playing down.
That's a good one, Mike. I didn't have it, but I agree with you. I think that's a good one.
Him and
Something
Mills.
something to watch.
Yeah, him and Mills were kind of the two weak links, it felt like at times, the two primary guys. And, McCourty back, maybe things will change a little bit, but I think we need more out of him.
Yeah. We'll just keep going around. Paul, you got another bad?
Yeah, I think Fred brought up Marcus Martin and a couple of penalties. I think he's a guy that's in line for one of those backup interior spots. Didn't really have a good showing tonight. Special teams penalties, atrocious. And when they weren't committing penalties, they were giving up 25-yard punt returns. I think there were like 3 sizable punt returns tonight. So that whole operation I was not overly happy with.
It didn't seem like they were getting downfield very fast.
Well, did Slater
to cover
play?
the returns.
I don't think he played.
I don't think
Slater didn't play.
He had the full workout. He was dressed.
And did Bethel play?
Yes.
He was playing.
Yeah. So, I thought they were I put that on the bad list just for the penalties alone, but also some of the downfield coverage on those punts. I'm like, wow, guy's got a lot of time back there to decide what he's going to do, and what he did was picked up 14, 15 yards on a return.
It wasn't broken tackles. It was catch the ball, get upfield, and now you got the guy in full stride.
He was gifted the first 10 yards.
In full stride when you have to try to break down and make a tackle. That's not easy.
How about it, Fred? Again?
Well, I mean, on a lot of those punts, Bailey had a lot of field to punt. I mean, he was kicking boomers.
Yeah.
So, if you're a returner, you got a lot of space to work with. But that's no excuse.
No, that's part of it. That's part of it.
I don't know. I don't have a lot of other bads, honestly.
At the preseason, it's tough. It really is.
It's hard to discern as you want to pick things like Mills and Doug, things that really affect the actual team. Not like I could say I have Marvin Hall on the bad list.
I had punt return decisions because I also put J.J. Taylor on that list. I thought that was a terrible play to run up and dive and catch it. There was no need to do that.
Right.
If you can run up and catch it, that's fine. But diving like that's a dangerous play. And Marvin Hall's was terrible.
Yeah, and I got one more. I had him on. I took him off. I would like to put this up for debate on the committee here because I don't know if I'm biased against him, but I felt like Kyle Van Noy just didn't look the same as I remember him.
We have a motion to
another guy.
We have a motion to talk about Kyle Van Noy. Do we have a second?
Now I have Henry Anderson for this reason, but Kyle Van Noy was playing in the second half.
He was playing a lot.
Yeah. And now, again, just like Anderson, I don't know if that's because they missed a little. Like, remember, Van Noy started with the red shirt, so he probably didn't get the full amount of work. And then Anderson went out and missed a couple of days. Maybe they're trying to use this to get those reps that they lost in the training camp practices. But those are two veterans that you didn't necessarily expect to see Anderson, when I brought it up on the broadcast, it was like 2 minutes left in the third quarter. He was coming off the field.
He pinged me, too.
I expected to notice Kyle Van Noy more tonight, and I'm like, I didn't really notice he was out there a whole lot.
The one time I did notice him, he was making a play on a run play up the middle that he was in on.
Yeah. Okay. I remember one of those. He just didn't – and this, we've seen him with a leg, sheath on, whatever you call it. So, maybe he's getting over something, but he just didn't really seem to have much – urgency. He just wasn't running fast, and I don't know. His play time also pinged me a little bit. So like I said, I had him on. I took him off. I'm not sure. That's something to monitor.
Okay. All right. Any other bads? We good?
I did not have any other bads.
All right.
What'd you guys think of Harry's night? Nothing.
Nothing.
Non-plus. Did he have any catches?
He
had a catch.
One catch for 4 yards.
He ran about 50 yards to get 4.
He did.
Yeah.
I will say he blocked well.
Yeah.
He always does.
Yeah.
He always does.
It was one of those things where it's like, that's something to keep your peepers peeled for. What's he going to do? Is he going to continue to, get his stock up like he has been during camp, and then not even incomplete?
This is what you're used to. This is what it is.
I have a
was
question.
He there? Did he play?
Would a better receiver have caught that bomb from Mac Jones to Wilkerson in the end zone?
Yeah, we talked about that. I don't think that the effort to catch that was great. I don't think the throw was perfect, but I think that could have been caught, and that's a play like Wilkerson. Like you want to separate yourself from the rest of the pack. You got to make a play. I agree with Fred. Like, they're not worthy of putting on the bad list, but Zuber.
Yeah. Zuber's got to fight for that ball.
He drops a pass. They go right back to him. He catches it. Then he goes on a bomb and doesn't do anything to go after that ball.
It's like slow. And I thought
it was underthrown, but
it wasn't a good throw.
Yeah. It wasn't a good throw, but as Zoe pointed out, he's like, slow down, make it look
Work
like
your body and try to draw a flag.
There's some PI going on there, and get over to where the ball is. He just kind of stayed on the sideline and said, well, it's over there, and there's a guy right here. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Run through him? Well, kind of.
The drop, though. The drop. The
Bad
drop
drop.
was bad.
Yeah.
That was
Bad
bad.
drop.
So were you guys with me that you were hoping for the tie and they'd put Mac back in with
Yeah.
a minute 20?
Oh, I don't know. I was just hoping for the tie overall.
I didn't think of that. I don't think you would have because of the cool down.
Yeah, but
heat
I was
back
hoping
up.
for that.
But I was just well, I'll tell you off
And
air
then
why I was hoping
and then
for
the
tie.
call, the guy had 2 knees down inbounds with possession.
Even Patriots, John in L.A.
Yeah.
As diehard Patriot fan as you can get,
Right.
says they got screwed.
Yeah.
Well,
I still have.
but what's the rule?
I didn't see the. He thinks that they screwed the rule up. That they changed that. Like you don't have to.
Right, you don't have to
you don't have
survive
to-
the ground.
Right.
Well, I tell you what, we got John in L.A. on the phone, so let's go over the injuries real quick, and then we'll go to the phones.
Okay.
We can talk to John in L.A. Judon
I
went.
think we kind of already.
Yeah, the three. Judon,
three guys.
Judon and Uche.
and Bryant.
I still want to just throw this out there with Judon. That hit, first of all, was a cheap hit by I think it was Logan Thomas. I thought, especially in a preseason game, you got to go low in a preseason game, please. And I think that's what
That's
he was
why
really.
Judon was mad
That's
about.
why he was really mad. And did you see
was
the
pulling
replay?
his shirt.
He was pulling him.
Yeah.
But I'm not I'm hoping that it wasn't overly serious. But that's something that I'm gonna wait and see on Monday when we get to
Swell up
Philly
tomorrow. Yeah.
to see. I have my eye on
He
him. I
came
hope-
out of the tent pretty quick.
Yeah,
I know.
and he went
did.
back in the game.
He did, but maybe
Yeah.
that's just because he didn't tear his ACL, but maybe he sprained the knee. It's or something.
Okay.
I'm hoping, but I'm not just willing to wipe that away. I mean, he tried to get in the game right away. They dragged him back off, and then he ended up going back in. So probably avoided anything serious, but hopefully. I just was mad because I hate the low hits, especially in a preseason game.
I agree. All right.
You guys talk about. You must have talked about Smith's catch in the broken tackles down the sideline early. The tight end.
Oh, Johnu. Yeah,
Oh,
the
Jonnu
underneath.
Smith.
Yeah, his
Yes,
one
yes,
catch.
yes.
Sorry, I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
getting
Oh,
Hunter. And
That was
it-
impressive. That was good to see.
It didn't get mentioned specifically, but I remember that.
I actually put that in my write-up, and I don't think we mentioned. I mean, Paul mentioned him, but I had him up. I know he had the penalty, but I think that is a glimpse of what we've seen. That play is like their best play, and it was on full display of
That's what
how
they need
tough
to do.
he is.
They're not, whether it's Newton or
Go do it.
or Jones.
We got to break tackles.
It's not going to be 19-yard outs on a dime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be we're going to throw it 4 yards and hope that you can get 8.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the scoring drives consisted of.
And Harry, you're going to have to block downfield.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
Well,
855
I don't
Pats
think that'll be
500.
part of it because I think we'll be playing for somebody else.
John in L.A., you're up first here on the Patriots postgame show. What's up, John?
Guys, I've got the good, and the absent. So good to have Hardy back.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Freddie crushing it on Kirschwords or whatever we call it.
Thank you very much.
Paul destroying on TV.
I
Great,
saw him.
Loved it.
It's really good.
And Deuce, I love you. Why isn't Deuce in the Bob Furniture Furniture Studio?
I won't allow it.
No, Paul found out all our games are on NFL Network this year, and he's like, "No, I'm by myself. I'm ready for my solo."
I mean,
So good. I have one more good, which is Brian Corey. There was no drama.
Yeah, that was good call by
Great
Paul.
I had Corey on my
Loved it.
on my list.
Yep.
all right.
All right.
So
John,
You guys are
Hold on
awesome.
a second.
Go
John.
on the 2 point. They
Who's
get
the
you up?
absent?
John, can you tell us what because I, honest to God, I didn't really see the replay of the 2-point conversion, but I saw that you posted something that said that they got screwed.
It seemed like they got screwed, and I got a little excited in both Twitter and Facebook. But it seemed like the knee was in, and he had possession.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Game up, play over.
Yeah. He made a football
and
move.
someone
and
said
boom.
that Jawan Williams followed through.
He did. He punched it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but after he was on the ground, like
Yeah.
that's not supposed to negate a catch.
Exactly.
Also, after a bad play, to not break it up in the first place.
Yeah, no, I know. I wasn't. Yeah, that
No,
was the one that I
think they-
disagree with Deuce on.
I think they screwed the rule up. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't see it, so
I
I
love
can't-
watching
I
Can't
wrote
comment.
it. I wrote if that happened to the
Snaps up.
Patriots, we'd all be pissed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Didn't see it.
Hated
Can't
it.
comment. Can't comment. Didn't see it.
John, thanks, buddy. Appreciate
I
it.
saw it.
Thanks.
All right.
That's when I was leaving the studio to come in here.
Cousin Patty promised he would be
Oh, yeah, this should be a good one.
all banged up.
Yeah,
at
he
this
was going to
point.
get banged up.
All right, Pat, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right.
I know that.
Feeling no pain.
You got to work tomorrow?
No pain, guys. No pain.
Okay.
So I gotta give a good and I gotta give a couple bads. Freddie.
Yeah.
the pregame social, I think, was especially the last 30 minutes, was probably the best pregame social I've ever heard in my life.
Really?
Guys
This was
were
as
on
the alcohol
I was
was
talking with the
fired.
Germans. What was going on?
It's just really good show.
Oh, we had problems?
Oh, I thought we had problems
No,
with some
no,
of the
no, no,
international
no.
stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
no.
But I said what was going on.
What was
with
going on
the
in the
pregame
pregame?
social?
It was just
that made it so good.
Just the magic.
It was just a good show. It was just magic.
It's just week one.
I think Patty had the
No big
alcohol
whoop.
kicking in at
Yeah.
that point, and this is getting
Well,
really
you
good
should
right
ask,
now.
we should ask
No,
Patty, what
I
was
was
your
trying
favorite
to-
part of that really good final 30 minutes?
Well, listen, I can't remember. I was driving home, but I just
Me
remember
going
laughing.
over in the over-unders.
Then that's when they smoke it.
Yeah, right.
Well, I smoked it.
All right, so that's a good. What are your bads?
The punt team all around was horrible, and I don't know about you guys, but there was only one play in this game that really pissed me off, and that was the Patriots' last possession of the first half when Mac Jones scrambled.
Yeah.
Didn't get the first.
He
Oh,
was
yeah.
2 yards beyond the line, beyond the first down marker.
Yeah,
and
they
marked
didn't.
him a
They
yard
didn't
short.
challenge that. He had it.
They did well.
Yeah,
I,
I thought-
understand them not challenging earlier on the Myers catch. It's like, okay, let's see how he deals with
I thought
this
Zoe had a
adversity.
good point on that. I
Yeah.
agree.
Oh, by the way, it wasn't his point. It was Tom Morgan who texted it to the group, and then Zoe took it as his
A
own.
little behind the
on
scenes.
broadcast.
Good
ooh.
job, T-Bone,
How often
because-
does that happen, Hardy?
Daily.
More than you know.
Daily.
Okay.
But
Wow.
I understand
That's a
not
good job by
challenging that,
T-Bone.
but the spot on that one, I'm with you, Pat. I'm like, I think they got it wrong by 4 yards.
Yeah.
We didn't
What was
get
that all about?
We didn't get a replay. I thought the spotting of the ball was bad all night. I thought he kind of dove and bounced for. I don't know. I'd have to see when he was touched.
Right.
But I thought he was down. I thought he had the first down.
Of course he did.
No, I thought I just said I thought
think
he had
at
the
the
fir-
very
I literally just said I thought he had the first down. I literally just said the words. I
All
thought
right,
he had
all
the first
right.
down.
He knows how to slip that dagger in. Yeah.
Do you have one more, Pat?
No,
He's
just-
miserable.
all right.
Yeah, he had the first down by 2 yards, and I'm like, what the hell are these guys
Yeah, he
looking
had
at?
it.
See, now
You know?
that's where I got to pull it back. Like, I think he had the line. Like, I don't think he had it by 2 yards.
All right, Pat.
Unless you're
thank-
giving him, like, the bounce and the roll.
We'll talk to you next week, Patty. Thanks.
All right, buddy.
There he goes.
Like, the receiver for Washington, I still can't figure out what they saw originally, that the official on that side. I don't know what she was looking at, like, to be that far off on the first down. Like, Zoe live was like, oh, wow. I thought he had the first down on that.
That was what happened to me. I thought he got it, and I looked down, typed something, and then I'm like,
And then they're like,
Wait.
no, fourth down.
they're punting. What's going
And
on?
I'm like, you're really going to make them waste a challenge and extend this stupid game?
And not like just by a bad spot, but it's like, oh, that play apparently ended nowhere near where I thought it.
It was like
did.
3 yards off.
It's like they spotted it like before even where his knee went. I thought
it's preseason for them too.
It's weird.
It was weird because they really weren't throwing any flags for
They were just messing stuff
for three
up.
quarters. The only thing they would call were false start penalties, like
Right.
you know,
Obvious.
Yeah, like line infractions that you have to.
And there's
call.
a couple they missed too, false starts.
Oh, there was
There were a
9,000
couple.
penalties they missed in the game. Period.
You're like, what? The right tackle's like he stood up.
Who was the coverage coming in the back line of the ends in the back corner? And they just grabbed the receiver's hand, like two plays in a row.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Two
He
plays
tried
in a
to make
row.
a
We
one-handed.
just-
That was a
tight end tried to catch it
completely-
with one hand because the defender had
Right.
the other one.
That's
Completely
true.
got away with one.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, nothing to see here, which
Yeah.
I think is great, by the way. I think that's the way they in the
No.
preseason. In the
gra-
preseason, I think that's great. Just let the clock run.
Okay, yeah,
no one
for,
wants to
for,
be there.
for
I'm
those
not talking
purposes,
regular
yes.
season.
But when you're grabbing a receiver's
Oh, no,
hand,
there
The
was
hell with the
blatant-
rules in the preseason.
No, they were blatant.
running
They
time.
were blatant penalties.
Spee in Fresno.
There was
Hello,
also
Spee.
blatant tackles out of bounds for both teams.
I thought so too, especially on the Washington sideline.
Yeah, that
like,
was a late one.
oh,
Gunner
there's a
on
couple
one of
late
the
ones.
punts tackled the guy behind guys that were out of bounds.
Yeah. What's up, Spee?
I say let him hit. Let him hit.
All right.
Pat Nagelum is just the man.
He is.
With apologies to Christian, he's probably my favorite.
Well, he's
but,
no Christian, but he's the man.
I know, but it's fun to say.
I
But
know.
Fred was the color guy
with that vibe question to Uche about the front. I just loved that so much. That was like such an ultimate Fred question. I don't know what he's asking, but it's just perfect.
If we could get Fred here for that interview every week, it would definitely brighten my day.
I didn't know what he was asking.
And I don't have to ask anything.
It's the best. On the bad, Harvey Solongi, or I got my other one is Longi Gongi. I don't know. He's out. And then Miles Bryant, he looks small and not good enough. But the thing that I wanted to address to you guys, because it was based on the pregame show, you were talking about, hey, let's see if Cam comes in and plays just maybe a few series, and then they play Mac for a long time, is that indicative of Bill having sort of preordained his choice?
Yep.
And I don't think I see it that way, because that's what happened.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen.
I just see that Cam came in, and by and large, despite Paul's apt point about the longest drive of the game, I think it was kind of poopy. It was like, I know it's heavy, pound the run, but it's just not a very diverse offense. And I thought that when Matt comes in, it just looks very obviously, well,
it was definitely more up-tempo.
More like the Patriots' offense, the tempo. You're right, Fred. And so I just don't really read it that
You're
way,
right.
but I wonder if
You were right.
this
I was
game-
wrong.
Speed, I don't think you change it.
And I mean that genuinely.
And
Fred was right. Fred predicted that this was going to happen, and I didn't think it would.
Oh,
and Fred's right.
Paul, you got to remember. No, and I'm not kidding. I'm watching thousands of posts during the game.
No, I
know what they're going to be saying.
I know you
tomorrow.
think I'm being snarky. I'm not.
Yeah.
I didn't think. I
know what
didn't,
fans thought
because I was on Twitter and I didn't see a lot of it. I didn't think. And you're right. You're right.
Wait, what did I do? What did I do that was stereotypical?
You didn't do anything.
No.
You Speed, you have an opinion.
What you did was you
It's your
tried
opinion.
you tried out the longy gongy line, and what you need to do, you need to take that to like an open mic night next
I
time.
think that
try it out at the Ha Ha Hole or the Fresno Funny Factory before you bring it on our show.
You might have to fight Eric for the open mic.
The second drive that Cam led was exactly identical to the first drive that Mac Jones led. But for some reason, the offenses were different. The only thing that was different was the first drive of the third quarter was up tempo.
I
no
disagree
huddle.
with that.
It was no huddle in the third quarter. That was the only drive that was
I
different.
disagree. I think Mac looked different, even if it was the same, and I don't think it was. But Mac looked different in his release of the ball and his timing.
They're not the same guy. Of course, it looked
Okay.
different. I totally agree.
And
it looked
people
different.
love.
But the production was the same.
Okay,
is
but
what I'm
people
saying.
like the way
That's
Mac
fair.
did it.
Right.
They like.
I know.
I'm just telling you.
And I already apologized and said you were right.
Okay.
But it was the same. They just like Mac
But
different.
Paul,
They like Mac better.
I'm telling you.
You're
Paul,
right.
you've been the one
You
who's
were right.
right.
I was wrong.
Paul, you have been the one who is right. They look the same, and that augurs well for Mac.
I agree. I like Mac. I want Mac to play. I want Mac to be the starter.
I want him to
But
too.
tonight, based on tonight in the first half, when starters were playing against starters, it was the same.
Yeah, but Spee, you were also saying that the conventional wisdom that if Mac only plays a couple series if Cam only plays a couple series and Mac gets a lot, then that means that Cam is the starter. I think that is the case.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that's what Tom Brady would have done.
sucks.
Yep.
Tom Brady would have played a couple series, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't have seen him the rest of the night.
handed the ball off.
Yeah, and then
as much as he
Garoppolo
threw
or
it.
whoever else it was would have played most of the rest of the game.
It's exactly what they did
Well,
with
then what are we
Fitzpatrick.
doing here? What are we doing here?
Well, no,
That's so
but here's
frustrating.
the glimmer of hope. Had Mac come in and not been the same, if he had absolutely lit it up, then we might be talking about something.
Yeah.
Not according to
I don't-
Paul in the pregame.
I don't see
show.
how
On the
that's a
pregame
glimmer of
show,
hope.
No,
Paul
first
said
of
if
all,
he did
I
that
didn't
wouldn't be the case.
I didn't
Because he
say
might still do that. There's 2 more games left.
I didn't
And
say
2 joint
definitively
practices.
if Cam only plays a series or two. I didn't say like, well, that's it. I feel like if he gets that treatment, that's the quote unquote starter treatment, it's probably an indication that right now Bill thinks he's the starter.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's all I said.
But
You're right.
But for those
You're
people
right.
who want Mac, there's still a chance. Like I said, there's 2 more preseason games. There's 2 joint practices.
Yep.
Cam is being treated like the starter because right now he is.
He
But
is.
that doesn't mean that's going to stay the same until September 12th.
Yeah.
Speed, thanks.
All right, well, Miles Bryant sucks.
Hey.
I think Miles Bryant
hurtful.
is miscast as a
Yeah,
safety.
they're playing him at safety because they got no other safety.
I think he's miscast as a safety.
I want to talk more about
I
the,
liked his scrappiness as a corner last year.
Yeah.
I want to talk more about Mac and Cam being the same because I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, okay? But I think what the difference is, and what Fred was probably seeing the reaction from people, is I think even though they're the same, the results might be the same, and they're essentially, you're getting the same thing at the end of the day. You can see in Mac a ceiling that doesn't exist.
But exactly.
But
that's why I want Mac to play.
But here's
I'm
another
1,000%. And what Speed just said is exactly what I've been saying.
here's another
if it's the same, then Mac won.
But wait a minute.
It shouldn't be the same for a rookie and an 11-year veteran.
But here's another thing, Paul. Were you listening to Zoe's commentary during the game? I mean, he was breathless about Mac.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. And he represents the fans. He was like, look at Mac.
First of all,
1, 2, 3, 4 out.
I've already apologized and said that you were right.
But
that's the way it was.
I'm just surprised.
But I just want to read a few things off, and you can tell me what's different. This is the second drive. First down, shotgun, Jacoby Myers, 11 yards down the middle. Harris for 8, Harris for 4. Newton, shallow cross to Jonnu Smith for 16 yards. Next play, screen to James White for 17 yards. Where is this, any different than what Mac did?
Well, you left out the first drive.
I know when I left out Mac's 3 and out that he had when they had a punt too. Well, I'm talking about the scoring drives. Okay. What was different about the scoring drives?
Yeah, I think it's the way Mac delivered the ball, the timing,
Fred,
the rhythm, the
I'm
tempo.
I'm with you. I want Mac Jones. Yeah. I think Mac Jones is the better player.
That's what was
different. He didn't play different than Cam tonight.
The results.
I just think what
you're looking
Hardy
at
said.
Stats. You're not looking at.
No, I've looked at the plays. Yeah. The plays went off. Cam doesn't do it in practice as often as he should. But tonight, that drive, he did it.
Yeah,
that's all I have to go on is the 15 plays that he played.
And here's where I'll back Paul up, and I wrote this, so it's not like I'm just coming up with this now. Yeah. When Cam came off after the first scoring drive that he had, he was happy. He was, you could tell that he was satisfied with what happened out there. He was okay with it, even though they didn't get it in the end zone.
Yeah.
He only played 12 plays.
Almost like he knew.
And
it's
that's
like,
why
I did enough tonight to keep my starter job, which Bill said I had 3 weeks ago.
You want to know why I really think Mac Jones, it was better? Because I don't think if Cam played the rest of the half, I think there's a really good chance that we're looking at that as the only scoring drive.
Right.
But I can only go on the 12 plays that he played.
Yeah.
And he had one bad play in the 12 plays.
Which one?
He got stripped. Well, he got blindside sacked.
Yeah.
Which I didn't hold against him.
No.
I didn't either.
Because Wynn got beaten like a
Everybody was saying, we should sense that pressure.
This is my point.
I didn't go there.
Yeah, and I wish I could jump in and have a passion, but I felt like it was incomplete. And I felt like what we saw from Cam is what we've been seeing in camp. Where it's like, hey, that looked like a pretty good little drive right there.
That drive was fine.
He had what he had to do.
I personally think, Mike, if he played 3 more drives, he probably would have had 2 more 3-and-outs.
I want to see more of him. I think he needs to see more. He's getting the starter treatment, and I'm still not convinced that he can produce consistent offense.
Whereas before in seasons past with other starting quarterbacks, the head coach would be doing that to protect the guy and not get him injured.
Right.
Well, I think Belichick is doing it to protect him, to keep him from having more eyes on him.
I don't know about
for
that.
a longer sample size.
I had a lot of questions, and I don't have the answer to this. Which game will they treat as the simulation starting game?
I
don't
hope it's
know.
the next
I don't know
one.
the answer.
I think you might see something like tonight
let's hold that for a second because I think that's something that deserves some time. But when I say we're taking a quick break, you have no idea how quick. Seriously, it's so short. Don't worry about it. We will be right back.
Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents
millions. I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
I blacked out. What happened?
You don't
The Patriots win?
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
Are you having a show while the mics aren't on? Because that's not allowed. If you guys are over there talking about the game, that's not okay.
Well,
do you save all
I feel
game
like
talk
the
for
breaks
here?
aren't long enough to really stop doing anything. So you might as well just keep going with the stream of thought.
What's next week? What's week number 2? Give me the closest approximation to a 4 preseason game season. What is next week?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how they're going to treat games
either.
2 and 3. Like we always know in the past, game 3 was that one where the starters got the most. But now there's only 3. But
it's joint practices.
But there's joint practices, and after the third game, there's a 2-week break, right?
Yep.
So do they want your starters to have 2 weeks without any play? So maybe that third game is still the game where the starters get the most. I don't know.
Still operating with the mentality. Last thing we want to do is put our starters out here for the last meaningless game and have them injured now, even though they've got the extra week. So calendar-wise, I agree, Fred. It should be treated as the third preseason game in week 3. But I think the mentality is more like, this is the last chance to have a dumb injury in a game that doesn't matter, so let's not play this.
Well, whatever game it is I mean, I don't know. Whatever game is the last game, you know, if week 2, if game 2 is treated like, you know, the big one, then that's the last chance to have it. So they can't think that way. I think it's hard for the guys trying to make a roster because if week 3 or game 3 is treated like that big game. You know, these guys get less reps. It's tough for guys trying to break into it on a team.
I want to see 3 quarters of Cam. I just think we've seen this through 2 weeks of camp. We saw a limited sample size tonight. Is he going to be consistent? Can he, you know, like Paul said, can he string together a few drives and, you know, and when he can't complete those little passes, can we see some shots? If we only see him for 2, you know, drives next week, and then we go into Giants,
there'll be no arguing if he plays, you know, half the game,
he's okay,
and he only has a scoring drive, then there's no saying. Like I think people, and I agree. If you're asking me what I think would have happened, I think they probably would have gone 3 and out the next time if he stayed out there, because I just don't have faith in him.
Yeah, and it's just.
But I have to be fair and only judge on the plays, and it was really 11 plays because I'm counting the field goal as one of the plays he was out there. He was out there for 11 plays. There were 3 bad ones.
And as somebody who didn't have him up or down, I felt like it was an incomplete, and you know
that's fair.
Like
that's
year,
totally fair.
Last year we had him, you know, such a narrow road to victory, and like you know Myers makes that catch, like you said on that drive, which was kind of a tough catch, not really on target. Or Smith was a little dump off, you know, and he did all the hard work, you know. Not to compare it to
the Myers
Jones.
catch that Newton threw?
The first one, wasn't that?
It was right to him.
Am I confusing my Myers catches?
Yeah, it was
what
Jones'
was the other
throw
Myers
that was
catch
down.
That we
it was Jones' throw that was down on the ground.
Mack
just like the throw that was down at Jakob Johnson's ankles.
Mack had 2 throws that were short arm, that were short.
I confused my throws.
But here's again where I would say, Fred, to your point, he's a rookie. Yes, I grade on a curve. Yeah. So his missteps and misfires, I'm like, okay. Like, so Cam gets, hit from behind, and someone said on the blog that he should have sensed that. Mack didn't have great pocket presence on a few of those plays. Holding the ball too long, throwing the ball. Threw the ball into tremendous traffic on one play and got away with it. It was one of the catches that Wilkerson made. There was.
Yeah. Well, the play before.
I'm sorry, but if there were NFL secondary out there, that's a pick.
The play before the sack, he got hit, but stayed in the pocket and delivered, and that should have been a catch. It was dropped on him.
Yeah, he had Wilkerson dropped. Wilkerson could have helped him out tonight. There was some catchable balls, but again, there were ups and downs, and I think we're talking about just the downs with Cam and just the ups with Mack. You were right, and now that I'm thinking of it, the last third down when he got hit when he threw it and the ball, He got hit as he threw it. The
But
ball went
it all
straight
comes
down.
Out, it all comes out in the wash.
On Twitter, someone said that one of the only incomplete pass on that drive was a throwaway. Would you consider that a throwaway? No, we held the ball for 10 minutes on 3rd and 4 and got hit when he threw it.
Right.
But Paul, if we're only judging one on the good and one on the bad, it should be balanced out. If we judge one as a rookie and one as a veteran, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's why I wouldn't argue with anybody that says, "Oh no, I can't have Cam on the good list." I like Mike's kind of swayed me. He's an incomplete.
But did you see
He didn't play enough.
Mike Reese put up the stats? He put the comparison graphic up between the two quarterbacks, and the average throw, that was the big difference. The average throw for Mac was like 7.3 yards, and for Cam it was like under 3 or something like that.
Really?
You sure that it wasn't opposite?
No. I thought it was.
Well, then that's ridiculously misleading. He threw 1 through 19 passes and 1 through 7.
Average pass length for Newton was 0.3 yards.
0.3.
For Jones, it was 7.2.
Right. 0.3.
That's ridiculous.
Why?
Because he only threw 7 passes, and one of them was a screen.
Okay.
So it went behind the line. That completely skews the numbers.
Okay. Well, I mean,
it obviously didn't work.
I mean, they had the same rating. I mean, one guy's throwing the ball backwards, the other guy's throwing it forward, but they ended up with 78 ratings.
Well, I know Mike Reese put that up, and he yellow highlighted that average pass length.
Like, that is completely right. So you understand Mac Jones is getting credit for 2 incomplete bombs that went 50 yards.
That's true.
Okay, so now we're crediting him for incomplete passes.
But it isn't.
But you know what? We're watching.
I can't believe how wrong I was,
but
Fred. I can't believe how wrong I was. We're actually charting how far the ball gets thrown when it hits the ground.
But I think only passes that
I could not have been more wrong
I think only
about this.
passes that are caught are part of that equation.
No, it's average air. He's throwing length.
Well, then he should have had a lot more than 7.3. It should have been in the 30s.
Let's go to
because all the other throws were 2 yards. This is my point.
Let's go to Dave.
The throws that were completed went 2 yards, just like Cam's.
Dave in Colorado, you're on the Patriots postgame show. Believe it or not, the Patriots won tonight.
See, you always think that these late shows aren't good. These are good. This is preseason.
First of all,
imagine when we get into the season. You imagine October 4th what the show's going to be like?
First of all,
are you kidding me?
I don't say that the shows aren't good.
I never heard him say that.
The problem with the show is it's too long and we don't have any breaks.
Too long.
Both shows are too long and we don't take any breaks.
I think we finish with people wanting more. Is what I think.
Go ahead, Dave. What do you got for us?
I can reduce your pay, Hardy.
Hey, fellas. Thanks for...
I wasn't saying anything. It's Paul.
You can work an hour.
Pay me the same.
That's because Fred knows that I'm your mouthpiece.
What's up, Dave?
Hey, anyways, unfortunately, it's really hard in Colorado to watch the game. So I wanted to maybe put you guys on the spot. If you're the coach, who's the QB week 1?
Heineke.
And then second question, which player really popped off the screen to you? I mean, there's plenty of stats out there, the box scores, all that stuff, but which player was your number one on the screen today that surprised you? Maybe the dark horse, maybe the guy who might make the team.
I wasn't as surprised, but it's Matt Judon. That was the guy who popped off the field for me tonight. That was the one that
maybe J.C. Jackson,
standout player.
I'm going to go back to Perkins. I think he looked good. I think he was fast. He was quick to the ball. Coming from his side. A lot of times it was in pursuit. He wasn't there on the initial play, but he got to the, even when he was off the ball, he was in on the play from behind. So I liked his speed. I liked what I saw out of Ronnie.
Paul, who popped for you tonight? Who popped your peepers?
Popped for me. I mean, it has to be new guys.
Quinn. No, anybody.
Because Judon.
Judon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Judon was my most, it was like most satisfactory thing that I saw. Now, again, probably an incomplete. Right, Mike? He didn't play very much.
Yeah, but
I liked what he looked like when he was out there.
Some of those guys, he just looked like one of their kind of guys. That's the only way I can put it. But there's something about him. I think he's gonna fit in real well here.
All right, good.
And I would agree with Mac. Mac looked like what we've seen the last few days in practice. He looks like he belongs. He looks like he has an idea.
I mean, I know, Paul, I think he looked better tonight than he has in practice.
Well,
just the rhythm.
I really think he should.
The certainty, like there
Like,
was.
I think
there
he
was
should.
no indecision, except on that one where he held it. But I think, especially that first drive, he came out and he was boom, boom, boom. I think he was like 8 for 9 for 43 yards.
That was the first drive of the second half.
Of the second
when they
half.
went no huddle.
Yeah.
And we saw that
Against
with
the
the
All-Stars.
2-minute drill that he did in practice,
Yep.
where he completed a bunch of passes and finished with a strong touchdown. So I just think it's hard with this because inevitably you can't talk about one without comparing it to the other. And by himself, Mac Jones had a really solid night.
I
Cam.
think he was solid.
You know,
I was
and
pleased
What
with
was his
I
rating,
saw.
by the way?
I already went over this.
You said it was the
78.
same.
78.2.
Okay, that's not that great. That's not that great.
I take it back.
And I think just because maybe you mentioned it once, if someone asks for it again, I don't think you have to bite their head off. I think you can just give them the answer.
No, because
I heard him say they had the same rating. I didn't know what that rating was.
78.2 for Max, 78.9 for Cam.
We have Bill talking about going no
58.3
huddle.
for
Can we
Hoyer.
can we listen to that at any point, Mr. Morrell? Can we hear
I don't
from?
think it's ready yet. I think we're efforting that.
Oh no, I think we have.
we have it.
Yeah, we have
Oh,
just
okay.
we're gonna
it's hot
try.
in here.
We're gonna
Right?
try a couple of
It really
different.
is.
Okay, we're trying
it
a
really
couple
is
of.
hot in here.
You know, this is preseason for us too here in the post game show, but we're trying
Fred
a
and I
couple.
are just
of-
going to talk about the conditions in here. They're deplorable.
We talk about what's going on.
I
when
like
you,
getting Hardy frustrated.
This is when I see if I can get him to take a swing at
I'm
me.
not
No.
frustrated. I'm not frustrated at all.
You're frustrated.
I'm fine.
I'm a professional.
I'm absolutely terrified at what happens when you flush the toilets in here after a heavy rain. Oh my God. How have I never seen that
I don't know
before?
what's going on with that toilet in there.
Does
It's
that
like-
have anything to do with the rain?
That's what someone told me. It's rainwater coming in through the pipes. I passed those two bathrooms on the way in. I was going to stop there, and they look like crime scenes. And then I stop in that one, and it's black rainwater coming up when you flush the toilet.
Is that right?
Yeah, that can't be good. I need to call Mike Albert. It's game over for water.
I saw Matt Chatham eating chowder and ice cream together. I told him use the downstairs bathroom, will you?
I think if Chatham had like a vegan diet, he could probably still do that to the bathroom.
my God.
He just looks like a
He eats more smoked meat than I fear for his family, the amount of smoked meat that guy eats.
Who's this? So much meat. All right, let's go to CJ in Kansas City while we're figuring things out here. Go ahead, CJ.
Hey, guys. Hey, I wanted to really appreciate that Felger fact that you guys have expanded on that Mike Reese threw out with the 0.3 average versus 7-yard average.
Did you
And
see
it
that
seems
graphic
like
that he
that's
put
gonna
out?
Get manipulated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
See,
did.
this is what I mean. Like, he just read that graphic. That is a good example of a Felger
It was
fact.
an NFL Next Gen stat, and for the Patriots quarterback battle, they had Newton 4 for 7, Jones 13 for 19.
And it says
Newton
average
2 series.
pass length, right?
Yeah, I'm getting to that.
No, but there was confusion whether or not it was completion or pass, like just attempt.
I'm giving everything here that's on there, so I'm not leaving anything out. 5 series for Jones. Team points with Newton on the field 3, Jones 6. Average pass length 0.3 for Newton, 7.2 for Jones. So whether you want to call it a Felger fact or not.
Oh, it's definitely a Felger fact.
Yeah, it totally.
It really does
totally
mean
is. It doesn't tell
it
you
means
anything.
nothing if it's all passes.
It's
you know?
all. It says average pass length.
Yeah.
Just looking at watching the game, like I think Paul, you're kind of nailing it with the second drive that Cam had and the drive that Mac had. I look at both of them and I see kind of similarities as far as the end result.
Right,
and I'm
like-
just watching,
but
not like.
And I look at them in two different ways. I look at them with my head and with my heart. With my heart, I'm 1,000% with Freddie. I liked everything I saw with Mac better because I see potential to get better. And he's already doing it at this level now. What's he going to do if he keeps playing? That's my heart. My head says those two guys played very similarly tonight. That's what my head showed
is saying. Right, and my head is saying, it's preseason game 1, too. Like, I think you mentioned this earlier in the week on Unfiltered, which is we're going to have to temper some expectations. We're not going to get blown away either way. If Matt came out and just blew it out of the water tonight, like preseason game 1, let's wait until the real shots start coming at him too, and see how that affects. And I think that's kind of the other side of that coin of why Cam is still.
Yeah, I said on the blog to everybody, draw no conclusions about what you see tonight.
And another point that I would say is for both these. This is for both guys. Let's see what happens like 5 or 6 weeks from now when everybody's sort of back used to playing, if you can continue to throw the ball 2 yards and get 8. Because like J.J. Taylor broke 17 tackles tonight.
Well, that's the other thing, too.
He was running guys over.
He was running guys over, Freddie. Absolutely. Is he going to do that in real games when everybody's tackling?
He's going to try.
Tonight there were a lot of missed tackles.
Yeah. CJ, thanks for the call. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, okay, average pass length, that's a silly stat. But you can call virtually every statistic silly if you're just going with passing yards. Well, how many of them are yards after the catch for Cam Newton's passing yards?
But
all
no,
of
but
them were
that's
after
not how
the
they
catch
do
for
it.
both guys.
That's
This
not
is
how
my
they do
point.
it. Average pass length means something if both guys play an entire game, so you have everything balances out. But it doesn't mean anything if one guy has 2 series and the other guy has 4. 5. It doesn't mean anything.
They count the points.
Yeah.
Like Mac Jones had 6 points. Cam had 3. He played 3 more drives.
Right.
Like, yes, complete fact. Mac Jones accounted for double the points that Cam Newton did.
Well, that's why
Felger fact.
No, it's silly.
He played 5 series as compared to 2.
Yeah, and it was too bad that Jonnu got that holding call that brought back the call, because I felt like they had some momentum there, and it felt like Cam was going to stick it in.
Oh,
if
he doesn't get called now listen, if he doesn't get called for the holding, Harris probably doesn't rumble down to the one. I think he got down to the 3 on the play.
Yeah.
He probably got the corner because of the hold call. I get that. But that's why they didn't score a touchdown. Even if that play just got stopped for a 2-yard gain, I think they were going in.
Yeah.
They had all kinds of momentum on that drive.
You guys want to hear what Belichick had to say about going no huddle?
Absolutely.
Let's give it a whirl. Let's take this for a spin.
I don't think he was ready yet.
Well, I was listening to him earlier before I came down, and they asked him about Mac, and he wouldn't say anything. We'll look at the tape. But then the very next question was of Juwan Williams, and he did talk about Juwan Williams.
Yeah.
So he's not going to talk about Mac. He will talk about other players.
Third-year guy.
Okay, we're going to listen to the full press conference instead. That means we have time for more of your phone calls. 855-PATS-500. Kevin in San Francisco. What's up, Kevin?
You leaving, Paul?
Hey, boys. How you doing?
Looks like he's
good. How are you?
Good.
Good. Welcome back to the season. Couple of things to start off. Hardy, me and my boys had a little Jägermeister and Red Bull in your honor tonight.
Thank you. Good for you.
Paul, you did a hell of a job on TV tonight, as always.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that.
National TV.
And Fred, I was down at my mom's in Dennis. I had my son in a running camp at Dennis Yarmouth High School.
Nice.
And all I could picture was you running around with a 6-pack of Bud, a pack of cigarettes, and driving around in your Trans Am. I don't know. Did I get that right?
No cigarettes and no Trans Am, but the beer in a Mustang would have been accurate.
Ooh. Don't forget playing bumper butts in the shower.
Yeah. But I felt the vibe of Freddie Kirsch.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I drove into that campus.
Yeah. Oh, I've a lot of blood, sweat, and tears left on that campus. Absolutely.
Love it.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, guys. I miss you guys. I'm glad you guys are back for the season. I'm Mr. Sunshine and Lollipops tonight. I'm not getting to get deep in this stuff. I am ecstatic to see that we saw Mac Jones for as amount of times as we did tonight. We saw Ramondre run like crazy. We saw Juwan Williams make a couple of plays. I am all about just the positives tonight. And I don't care about who's going to be the starting quarterback and whether who's going to be where. I don't care. I saw some good things tonight, and I'm excited about the season.
All right.
Yeah.
Woo! Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Listen, after watching this game, I want to watch the next one. Let's put it that way.
For sure.
Can't argue with that.
It was one of those games where I want to see a little bit more from both. I felt like I got a good sampling of Mac Jones tonight. I still think Cam is going to be the starter week 1. I don't think anything changed strategy-wise with the coaching staff tonight based on those performances. So I want to see more Cam. I want to see more Cam to get a better idea of what it's most likely going to be if it's unchanged, then I got to keep rolling with the expectation that Cam is going to get the ball week 1 against Miami. So let me see some more Cam.
Yeah, and you
Let
think
me see
that
what
they
that's
would
gonna
want
look like.
that too, right? Like, what
I
has
was
he done to
surpri- I
prove
was
to you
sup-
that no, I got it, I'm good. I just need a couple series, warm me up, and next I'm going to be way better this year.
I gotta say, I'm surprised he only played 2 series. I thought he would have gone more.
Well, let's see the next game.
Yeah, I think you'll see a little more. I think Mike is going to get his wish because I don't think that they can just play him 1 or 2 series like he's Tom Brady.
Like a full.
I don't think you
full
can. I don't
dose.
think you can
You
treat him
gotta.
like the starter, capital
Right.
T, capital S. I think it's different. I think this is different. I think he has to play a little
You know,
more in one of the next 2 games.
And like the whole storyline from last week, where it's like, well, Cam suddenly realized that he's in a quarterback competition. Like, he has no reason to think he's in a quarterback competition now. He's getting treated, like Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's the starter of the team. He
Yeah,
plays
I'm
a couple
not
more.
overly surprised about tonight because it's kind of what I thought was going to happen tonight in terms of playing time. But if it stays that way all 3 games, I will be surprised. I agree with Mike. He has to show some signs that it's different than last year.
But does he? Maybe they just know what they know. And, hey, Mac, we're going to give you a shot here.
Will that bug you?
Go ahead and steal the job. We're going to give you your opportunity. You know?
Yeah.
But if Cam is only playing a series or 2, then it's really not. Because no matter what he does, he's not stealing the job.
That's where I disagree.
They're not taking the job away from the guy without letting him play.
I think if he
right.
I disagree. I think that if Mac absolutely lights it up, they're going to have to make a decision.
But after
But
Cam,
tonight was that not that night.
But Fred,
you
this
think,
is Paul's
you think
point.
They're not going
After
to let Cam have an opportunity to
Right.
light it up, and they're going to take the job away from
No,
him.
they say to Cam, we know what you can do. This guy does better.
I don't know that they're going to.
And don't discount those joint practices.
Well, the joint practices, that's a totally different argument.
Yeah.
Okay, that
But
is
if
something else
but
to.
if he lays an egg in the joint practices, they're not going to give him a chance to redeem himself in a preseason game.
Let him play more than 2 series.
He'll play more than that.
Yeah. Well, we're saying if he just plays like he did tonight for 2 more games, there's nothing Mac Jones is going to be able to do to overtake him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even Brady played
disagree with
more
that.
than
I disagree with that.
You know, even Brady.
Oh,
played
there were
more
years
than
Brady didn't play any plays in the
Nothing?
preseason.
Yeah.
More
I
than
just think
once.
Cam is so different than him now.
I agree.
They got to.
You can't treat him like he's the starter because he's not the starter in a traditional sense.
I would give him the chance next week. I would want to see him have some ups and some downs and see how he bounces back.
I couldn't
and
agree
see
more
how
with
that
you,
all
Mike.
goes.
I could not agree more
And
with
then
you.
if it's not going great, I would say that last game, maybe that's all right, guys. You know, you're both going to get a half, and we'll see.
Now, here's the other thing that we don't know.
And still be undecided going into the 3rd preseason game. You think the Patriots are willing to approach it as we still don't know who the starter
Well, I
is
think
going
with
to
a
be
rookie,
week 1?
but if you're talking about a rookie quarterback, I think you have to because you need to see him play through all that stuff. You need to see all this sample size. All this is. I mean, we just got a little bit of
So
value.
let's say
tonight,
they do
but-
that. Let's say they end up giving them both a half, and Cam plays the same way he did tonight, and Mac plays the same way he did tonight. What did you learn?
I learned that Cam's probably going to be the starter, and
Right.
I still think that's the.
That's what I think they know that.
But I
now.
just think Cam needs a
I think
fire.
they know Cam's ceiling.
I think we all do.
But don't you think that Cam can play better than this? Or don't you think that you need Cam to play better than this? Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I do,
Yeah.
but
So
obviously
how-
they are fine with him where he is
Okay,
right now.
so maybe they're fine with where he is right now that he's the starter.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree with all of you. I think that they may think that. But you can't tell me that they think, as long as he keeps playing like this, we're fine. Like, he might be the starter, and they might know that because, as Fred said, they know what Cam can do. But you can't convince me that Bill and Josh think this is good enough. What we've seen for 12 days on the practice field and then for 2 series. So I got to think they want to they need him to play more.
Well, maybe
right?
this is a big charade. Maybe this is a big charade
It's a
where
charade.
we are going to go do all the actions that tell someone that Cam is the starter.
And then just.
But we're giving Mac all these extra reps, and we're going to let him win the job.
And that's where the disingenuous part of it comes in. I was thinking of a golf metaphor I heard recently where it's like there's only 3 shots: good shots, bad shots, and shots that are good enough. Right now, the Patriots, they know Cam isn't good. They are lying to themselves if they are saying, well, that's good enough. Because we know that's not good enough. We know that's not good enough to have a competitive, compelling football team for 17 regular season games. But that's kind of how they're operating right now. Without that huge ascension from Mac Jones to overtake him and change the minds and change the strategy that has been in place for the entirety of the offseason. So if they're going with good enough right now, they're either lying to us or lying to themselves or both, because I think they know it's not good enough.
And there's a million ways to look at this. If they really think that Cam can do better and needs to do better, they would have to give him more reps.
Right.
To prove that.
Right. And you need him to play better. Like, we've never seen it be great with him. It's been okay. It's been good enough through some of the camp. Like,
sometimes.
Every now and then there's a throw.
Has it been good enough?
Sometimes, like tonight. For one series, it was good enough.
Right.
When is
it was good enough to get you a field goal.
Right. When has it ever been good? When has it ever been good enough for any consistent length of time?
No, never. It hasn't. Not in his time
and
here.
That's why I would just wash my hands of it and say, I'm going to go with the guy who I think will get better and better and better the more he plays.
Okay, step aside very quickly here. We'll come back and we will hear Bill Belichick's press conference in its entirety next on the Patriots Postgame show.
Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
My first question for you, Fred. Where'd you get your haircut?
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
A couple of phone calls here before we get to Bill Belichick and his press conference post-game after the win tonight. Boy, you wouldn't know it from the anger going on.
There's no anger.
There's a
spirited debate.
Anger.
Spirited debate.
In all seriousness,
we're trying to figure this out.
We're having a good discussion.
There is zero anger, and I think that the four of us have engaged in a really good, spirited quarterback talk for the last 15 minutes. This is what Speed was talking about in the pregame show. This right here.
That's what it was.
This.
Fire. You want to know what happened, Fred? This happened.
This is the show.
22-13, the win for the Patriots tonight over the Washington football team. John is in Washington, but I have a feeling this is Washington State. Am I right about that, John?
No, I'm in D.C.
Oh, well, then somebody
should they call the team, should the new name of the team be the Washington Monuments?
No.
That's what I propose.
Monuments don't really move.
Yeah. I sort of back up what you said about the O-line play particularly and just the mess of tackling on either side.
Yeah.
But one of the things I wanted to bring up was particularly on the Jalen Mills thing. With Joanne Williams today, he looked faster than I've seen him in a while. And so I was wondering, if you keep Williams as your third outside corner behind, hopefully, Gilmore coming back and then J.C. Jackson, can you move Jalen Mills to the Deron Harmon role? Because I'm looking at the safeties, and I've got Bledsoe, Phillips, and I've got Duggar, and they're all sort of in the Patrick Chung role. And what we really are missing, what we've been missing for the past season, I feel, is that Deron Harmon third roaming safety behind McCourty. And I'm just wondering, do you think Jalen Mills, who did better when he played safety at Philadelphia, would be better?
I think Jalen Mills would be better safety, unfortunately, in that box role. I think that's more him, like not necessarily free safety, which I think was what they were having Miles Bryant play. But I thought Williams looked a little better tonight as well. I had that same take. I just still don't know if it's enough for him to overtake what they see in Mills, and I hope it works out with Mills, but this is something we've been talking about since the start of training camp was, Can Mills come in and play press man coverage as an outside cornerback, which was something he struggled with at Philly? He's better suited as an inside, move-around kind of guy. I think if Gilmore comes back, they can have some fun with Mills and move him around and do some stuff with him. But I think until that happens, they're going to have some issues. And I don't know, the Harmon, that felt like kind of a luxury a little bit. Not totally. I think Devin McCourty doesn't need to go up and play anymore up near the line. He can just stay back there and keep him healthy.
And I
out of the
agree.
line
I
of
think
fire.
Mills will be a safety, or just that sort of extra defensive back. I disagree that Williams is. I'm not sure he's on the team.
He looked good tonight, but he playing against
played it in the fourth quarter as a third third-year former second-round pick. He should absolutely dominate.
Yeah,
dominate. And we're counting a play.
There was a tip
that
ball.
got tipped to him.
Yeah.
Like
I
that's a play. Like I'm
He's
not trying to be
definitely
disrespectful to Williams, but
it's
not a good sign.
It was
guys,
when you see that, you think Deron Harmon.
Guys of his but guys of his pedigree should not be playing this late.
Yeah.
But I don't want to take credit away from that play either. That's a tough ball to come down with, and I think that Zoe talked a little bit about it.
We broke up a pass after that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It's Steven Montez throwing it, and
right, and Steven Montez, who drifted right into the rush on virtually every drop back tonight. When Fitzpatrick and Heineke were out there, things looked a little different, right? The secondary to me was, you know how they say, how did you put it today? Sneaky, not good.
Sneaky, not good.
Sneaky, not good. The secondary tonight.
John, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. We're going to move to Joe in Hull before we hear from the coach. Joe.
Hey, Fred.
Or Joel,
How you guys
excuse
doing?
me. What's going on?
How's it going?
What's up, Joel?
Hey. So tonight's observations, I'm actually going to draw on Paul's steel trap mind to go back because I get this feeling that Cam on the second series on that third down, he could have ran for it on first down, and he hesitated. And it seems like in the past he would have done that. What do you think, Paul?
Well, here's the thing. If I'm Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels, I give him pretty good instructions. Do not run tonight. I think they know he can run. I don't know if they did, but I would, because they know what he. As Fred says, what he can do as a runner. Can he drop back in the pocket and deliver the ball where it's supposed to go? That's what you don't know about him. And I would say that Mike has really swayed me in this argument. I don't think he belongs on the good list anymore. I think I was wrong. He's an incomplete. He didn't play enough to get on any list.
It's just, is it ever going to click for Cam Newton here? And I think that's what we're waiting for, and that's what he needs experience for. And it seems like they're treating him like it's just going to happen. We haven't seen it happen at all. I don't know. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't know what we're waiting for with him.
Well, Joel, thanks for the call. I'm sure Bill Belichick was asked about it in his post-game press conference. So let's hear from the head coach right now on the Patriots post-game show.
Okay. Well, tonight was another step in our preparation and, transition from training camp to, start to get ready to, prepare for games and play games and, deal with the post game and, starting all over again, get ready for a new team next week in Philadelphia. So a good opportunity for our team to go out there and compete tonight. I thought we did some, good things. We'll look at the film. There's sure is a lot to correct. There is a lot to correct. Some other things we didn't do as well, but fundamentally I thought we made some progress. But again, we still got a long way to go, and a lot of things we need to tighten up and improve on. But I thought the players competed well, and it's good to see some things come together that we've been working on. And then be ready to put this one behind us tomorrow and move on to Philadelphia. So got a lot of work to do. We just got to keep grinding through it here. It's training camp. Good.
If you have questions, we'll pass the mic to you. Right here.
So, Bill, kneeling it twice and then running for 91 yards, and then on third down, is that how you draw it up, run out the game at this point?
Yeah, well, we kneeled once, and then when they used their timeouts, then we had to run plays. So, sometimes that happens in a 4-minute offense. You split one, and, get a big play out of it.
Were you surprised Washington took a timeout there, or you're just trying to run out the game, or how did you expect that to go?
Yeah, well, you don't expect anything. They make their decisions and we make ours. So.
Bill, over here. What were your thoughts on the way Mac led the offense?
Yeah, we'll look it on film and see there was some good things. There's plenty of things we can improve on. It's true for everybody. It's true for all of us.
Hi, Bill. Juwan seemed to be taking the last two practices into today's game. He was one that showed really good burst. I mean, defensively. How did he look out there today for you?
Well, I mean, made a nice play on the tip ball and, ran it back, made a couple of good tackles out there. Again, we'll take a look at it and, go through the film and all, but I thought our secondary, competed well. We didn't have a lot of players back there. We're in a lot of 4 defensive backs, the majority of the game. But, those guys all, responded and showed a good level of conditioning. We lost Miles there in the fourth quarter. So, we finished with 4 DBs. But, Juwan played some corner, played some safety. But, it's good experience for the guys that played. So we were positions where we were a little shorthanded, gave an opportunity to those guys to play more. So hopefully they took advantage of it.
Bill, what drove the decision to go no huddle with Mac and what looked like the same group of players around him to start the second half?
Oh, we would have gone 2 minutes at the end of the second quarter, but we didn't have one, so we just went 2 minutes, started the third quarter.
Bill, what do you think of Quinn Nordin's performance today?
Of
the kicker? Quinn Nordin's performance today.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take a look at it. Hit a couple of good ones. Miss an extra point. So it's all about consistency. And Quinn's gotten better. He's worked hard. But again, it's really about consistency at that position. And we're getting there. We'll see what kind of progress he continues to make.
I don't know if in preseason you're thinking challenge flags, but I was curious how much consideration you had on the Jacoby play that looked like it was close, or if that's not really what you're thinking about in preseason.
Yeah, didn't feel like challenging it. Okay, great. All right, thank you.
Great indeed. That is Bill Belichick there in the postgame press conference after the 22-13 win for the Patriots tonight over the Washington football team. Anything stand out to you there, Paul, in the coach's press conference?
I mean, one thing that related to the quarterbacks, I don't know how much it was just coach speak when he's talking about we'll have to look at it. There was some things that were right. I think that's another element of the whole Mac and Cam thing. And I thought Zoe brought up a really good point on one of the plays. Zoe was upset that he thought Gunner had run a deep dig route, that he was open and Mac just checked it down and I think hit Taylor for a couple yards. Those are the kinds of plays that we've been talking about at practice all the time. Like, well, yeah, everything looks good, but I don't know what he was supposed to do on the play. Zoe, as the play live. Now that's an NFL quarterback, so he's looking at it a little bit differently than the layman. So he looked at it immediately and said, Mac missed him there. I think he would probably want to have that one back.
Yep.
They might look at it that way. Yeah. When Josh and Bill are looking at the film, the way Bill just talked about, they might look at Cam and say, yeah, he threw, a nice pass to Jacoby Myers, but he probably should have been looking backside to someone else. Or for Mac, they probably should have had an opportunity to make a play on that 3rd and 4 that he gets hit as he throws the ball if he was looking somewhere else. We don't know those things. But when you get graded out, at the pro level, that's what's going to end up determining it. Like, who graded out better? And that's why when they say, well, Cam's the quarterback, maybe he's grading out better than his performance shows? I don't have any idea. I find that hard to believe based on the results, but
it's just if it continues this way, there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect between what we're seeing of Cam Newton and Mac, and just trying to put together why is he seem right now like the totally entrenched starter, and that they have confidence in him to take the team to another level when we have seen improvement, but not like wow. It's like there haven't really been any of those moments with Cam that you feel like this offense could go to a new level. It's like at best it feels like he can kind of manage things.
It'll be interesting to see what the play calls are the next game, because this game was it was almost like you're getting started in training camp. A lot of short passes, the running game, close to the line of scrimmage type of passes. Let's see if they stretch it out a little bit next week.
Let's see if it was supposed to be like that.
Yeah.
That's like my point. Like that drive that he goes 8 for 9 on looked great. But was he supposed to just, get the snap and throw a little dump down to J.J. Taylor as many times? I think Taylor caught like 4 passes on that drive. Maybe that was exactly what he's supposed to do. That's exactly what they want.
Right.
He graded out 100 on that drive.
And probably,
maybe he didn't. I don't know.
And there's more than the play, too. Like, it's also like in the room when they put it up and they say, all right, tell me what you see. And Cam is like, bop, 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 bop. And maybe he can't execute it perfectly, but he knows. He already is versed in all of this. And he knows that guy and this guy and that guy. And Mac, maybe he'll get it, but he doesn't have that level of knowledge.
And that's what ultimately won Bill over with Brady. Because anytime he asked Brady what he saw in a play, it was right.
And he was on the same page with him. I wonder how much of it, too, is a fear of the unknown with Mac Jones. Like you say, they know what Cam is by now, and they're more comfortable knowing, and even knowing that he doesn't have the ceiling and he's not going to necessarily get any better. But if they're just overall, on both sides of the ball, building this team where defensively they hope to hold teams to a certain number of points and say, okay, we know what we have in Cam, and he's going to be able to do this, this, and this for us, and he's going to see the field this way, and we can game plan, as opposed to Mac, who might be able to do that, but he might mess this up. And you know what? For right now, for week 1 of the preseason and probably going into the start of the regular season, more comfortable with going with what we know and then relying on the defense to keep us in games.
For all we know, Patricia and McDaniels and Bill, they already know Mac's better. But they're just not going to hand him the job. Mac, you're going to have to do things to really show us.
Plus things, not just like getting it and understanding.
Not just even. You're going to have to show us that you're better, even though we know eventually you're going to be better. You're going to have to show it, and the team has to see it. We're not just going to anoint anyone anything on this team. You have to earn it.
And I think that speaks to Cam and how he is in the room and how other players view him, because I still think he's got the room.
Yes, sir.
He's got.
Why doesn't Cam have to earn it?
That's the question.
Because he came in last year for $500,000, and
Okay. So I just think we should be consistent. If no one's going to be anointed, then I don't want Cam anointed either.
Because he beat the Patriots a couple of times. I don't know. I really don't know.
But there's a lot of things. He's been in the league for 12 years. He's done things in the NFL.
Well, I've been told many times it's not about what you did before you got here. It's what you do when you get here.
But Mac Jones has done nothing in the NFL.
It's got to count for something.
Cam Newton has done nothing as a Patriot.
I'm with you, Paul. I'm with you right now. I want to see it from Cam. If we're going to give him the starting job and let him start week 1, I need to see him play in a preseason game where he fights through some adversity and maybe shows us some consistency.
The only way I'm okay if Cam is the starter is if he earns it. If he plays better than his competition.
Right.
I haven't seen that yet.
Right, and if he just plays 2 series next week, 2 series against the Giants, and I'll be befuddled.
So will I, but it will further cement what I already feel, which is, okay, they're keeping him under wraps for whatever reason, mostly for injury, but I think for a couple other things too, just keeping him protected from everything, and because he's going to be the starter week 1.
My pretty little pet. My pretty little pet.
You naughty.
Do you think?
Naughty pet.
Do you think? I tend to agree with you, but do you think that Mac will be the starter at some point this year?
It's hard to imagine him not. I just don't know when. At what point
Me too.
do they see essentially the same from Cam Newton and just throw up their hands and say, that's enough? And how do you explain that to Cam? How do you explain it to Cam who's like, it was good enough for you all last season. It was good enough for you to call me the start at the beginning of camp. I haven't gotten any worse. I'm the same guy. They still love me in here. This kid hasn't played yet. How am I losing my job now?
Well, you think he's better than you in practice?
That's it. And that's what I'm talking
that's
about.
Maybe that's all it'll take.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
Okay.
I mean, and these preseason games are practice. The joint practices are practice. Like I said, he's got plenty of opportunities, Mac does, to show that he should be the starter.
Right. And you are right about that.
I just want Cam to have the opportunity to show that he shouldn't, to Mike's point. And tonight he didn't get an opportunity to show that he shouldn't be the starter.
And that was the frustration last year, was this that they kept sticking with him. You kept waiting for him to play a consistent game without turnovers, show some kind of improvement, and he never did. He kind of regressed. This year he's improved marginally. There has been, some strides made, but still not enough to make me think, wow, it's all going to click all of a sudden, and he's going to be the guy this year, start to finish the whole season. I think it's a matter of time.
Like Paul said, he very well could have gone 3 and out if he had stayed in the game.
Sure.
He also very well could have gotten better.
Yep.
We don't know.
Right, but based on what we've seen in camp,
I think I know.
Probably have
Yeah.
one.
I think I do know.
Fair enough.
Well, I think
Fair enough.
if he had 4 more series, he'd have 1 to 2 other good ones, and he'd have 1 to 2 not so good ones.
I think if he played 4 more series, he'd have 1 more that looked like the second one. He'd have 3 that looked like the first. Maybe not 3 and outs, but
I
more
just don't
like
remember
the
a lot
first.
of drives last year that looked like the second one tonight.
No.
That's why I think it probably would have been more 3 and outs.
Oh, we had some.
I didn't say he didn't have any. I said I don't remember a lot of drives that looked like that.
No, but he looks more comfortable this year.
He
Just
looked better.
generally,
On
he
that drive,
looks
he looked
better.
better.
He does look better.
Cam spoke longer than Bill, not by much, about 6 minutes or so, but we'll hear all of it when we return on the Patriots postgame show.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
Hardy's tough on him.
No.
He's tough on the ones he loves the most.
That's how they know I truly love them.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
22-13, the final from Gillette Stadium tonight, where the Patriots beat the Washington football team. We haven't talked at all about Washington tonight. I don't know that there's a lot to talk about, but you see anything that was of interest to you in terms of, we talked about their defense a little bit before the show. We talked about their quarterback situation. Was there anything of note with the Washington football team?
I just can't believe Ryan Fitzpatrick keeps going from team to team. It's just like you see him
I
now,
feel
and now
bad.
he's on the Washington team. Like it's funny to me. Good for him. He's had a great career.
I
but
feel
it's
bad
just
that
still
I
surreal.
think they have the makings of a decent team, but you can't go anywhere with him as your quarterback. I mean, there's a reason he's played forever and he's 30 games below 500 as a starter.
And on that Chase Young stat, that was one where I'm like, oh yeah, Chase Young's playing, and so I was kind of locked on him, right? And it was like
because the other guys were out
around.
He was the only
I
guy.
mean, Isaiah Wynn, it was like, I hope Isaiah Wynn realizes who he, and he didn't.
That's kind of like similar. Like Isaiah Wynn didn't play a ton.
Yeah, he was
but
hurt.
one of the plays he
got smoked.
He got beat bad. Like that's the life of a left tackle.
It's funny how some of the storylines just fall by the wayside and never get mentioned again. Do you remember the storyline about Cam and Ron Rivera and how that was going to be a thing? Was that a thing?
I think I saw just a post Cam went over.
He made a beeline to him.
Yeah, I thought they
and gave him a big hug before the game.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that. I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong because I didn't follow this all that much. But I always felt like the animosity between Cam and that was with the organization.
Yeah.
I think I always thought
liked
that
Ron.
he really liked Rivera.
I like Ron Rivera.
No, but I thought Cam did. I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
Cam
yeah,
had a lot of
but
respect
I'm
for
saying,
Rivera.
like,
More
him
than
as
Joe
a-
Theismann or less?
But I've heard that
sneaky,
like things aren't like
sneaky
paradise
smartass.
over there. Like Rivera's kind of frustrated that there's a lot of guys that haven't got the vaccine, and he's immunocompromised,
Yeah, yeah.
and to the point where he has to take naps in the morning. The doctor's orders, like he has to take naps to have the energy to go through the day.
Wow.
Like he's not, he's far from 100%.
He's not well, yeah.
And he's really frustrated with a lot of the guys who aren't getting vaccines.
Yeah. Well, let's hear from Cam Newton here in his post-game press conference after the win tonight. He played 2 series tonight. I don't know if you guys knew this, but his average pass length was only 0.3 yards. I don't know if that's going to be
I did know
asked
that.
and addressed, but we're going to find
about
out.
that far.
We're going to find out right now.
Go. Cam, just your thoughts on being in the stadium, being with fans in the stands for this first preseason game.
It was fun. It was fun. It was something that I haven't witnessed before. Just to see the excitement of everything, and for us to get the win, that was pretty cool for us. So, we got to still keep working, keep fighting for the standard that we know that is set not only by the coaching staff, the organization, but ourselves included. And we got a big week of practice here coming up.
Hey, Cam. On your second drive, what went right for you in the offense?
Well, it wasn't what went right. It was just more or less guys just doing their job, and that's what it pretty much comes down to. I think, the first drive out of 10 guys or 11 guys, 1 or 2 guys here making a mistake, me included. We just got to be sharper. And Coach always says, you just have to commit fast. We have to start fast, and we kind of picked it up in the second drive. Still had a holding penalty or something like that kind of held us back. But more or less, we know what the standard is. We know what we have to do, and that's what we got to keep striving to do.
Hey, Cam. Sounds like maybe you pulled the offense aside maybe after that first drive, James said. Whether you'd be willing to talk about that or not, what did you do to get past that first drive so that you guys could execute?
Yeah, it's no magic play. There's no magic player. There's no magic remedy for offense success in this league. If one guy messes up, it'll show more times than not. And I said it before, offensive football is the ultimate team sport, where you don't have the capability of having a lockdown cornerback that'll save the grace for a lackluster, rush. If the guard doesn't make the block or step down block, the tight end doesn't, chip block, hit it out. The receivers don't make the catch. Or the quarterback doesn't make a catchable pass, or even when you do make a catchable pass, somebody doesn't catch it. You still need all hands on deck, and that's it doesn't have anything to do with the play call. It doesn't have anything to do with trying to out trick a defense. It's just execution.
Kim, talking about that second drive and how it was an improvement on the first drive. Do you feel like you have some momentum at that point, and would you have liked to play a little bit more to kind of capitalize on that?
Of course. While I'm in the game, I'm trying to score. So, of course, you will want to score. But, we got some type of points out of it, and that's all she wrote.
Would you like to just get another series or 2 to just kind of keep
That's not up to me to make the call. I got full faith in the coaching staff and the people that get paid to do that. And if they say it's it, it's it.
Cam, what did you think of your up-close and personal introduction to Chase Young?
He's smaller than I thought. I just mess with. That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. I just mess with. Yeah, but he's gonna be good, man. He's gonna be good. He's gonna be real good. But I got to do a better job of protecting the football.
He kind of got me like right in the tweener when I was letting the ball go or trying to pull it back. So, you know, Coach talks about it all the time, man. Ball security is job security, and that's what it comes down to.
Hi, Cam.
Hi.
Over here. Hi.
How are you?
What were you thinking as Ramondre Stevenson took off and went on that long run? It's almost like you were running with him. Did that kind of give you a kick watching him?
Yeah,
working?
the man of many names. I got a lot of nicknames for Mondre. But he showed up tonight. And I always tease people on the sideline for, why do you always point in a direction where you know that they're already going? And I caught myself doing it today. So I'm like, go this way. It's like he's going to turn around and go the other way. But it was fun. It was exciting. Like I said, that was the first time I felt, you know, Gillette Stadium, you know, the crowd that be, you know, with the real game. And obviously it's preseason, and you know, it only can go up from here, right? With the crowd's capacity and everything else. So, you know, it's a lot of guys in there excited, including myself, and we just want to put on a great performance for the fans so that can be our edge this year.
2 final questions. We'll go Mike, please. Cam, I think you mentioned it last week. I didn't catch it. Did you switch off of mac and cheese? And what did you think of how he handled his
mac and cheese? Yeah, you got McLennan. You don't know what McLennan is? That's what Mac is short for. Got to do your research. You guys are the reporters, right? You supposed to have the T. I'm not supposed to be T'ing y'all, you know?
No, we got it.
Because I asked him, you know, Mac is like I said, he's relatively quiet sometimes, and I try to crack the Da Vinci Code of the seriousness. He got a lot of, I'm not gonna say it, but yeah, he's serious sometimes for no reason. And I'm like, Mac, so what does Mac come from? Is that your first name? He's like, no, that's actually my middle name. I didn't know that. And then I said, what's Mac? He said, McLennan. I think he said that's his mom's maiden name. So there you go. So Mac is short for that. And for him, man, for him to come out there, I know he came to me and talked to me, and we talked it out about, you know, just his expectation, you know, and every young quarterback goes through it. The excitement, the anticipation, you know, he wants to be so perfect, and I see his preparation is always, you know, pristine, and, you know, that's what I admire about him. You know, being at such a young age, he knows how to prepare and knows when Josh asks quick questions or when a person asks quick questions, he knows how to kind of have answers for it. And everybody's different. Everybody learns different. But for him in today's performance, he's just going to keep getting better. And, you know, we're going to be here for each other along this whole process. And, you know, that's what we're here for.
Last question we have on the tour.
Cam, having been through some of camp now, a preseason game, how do you feel about your own progression in terms of the way you've improved coming into the season and where you're going in terms of where you want to be as a player this season?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to keep getting better each and every day. You know, every day is a learning opportunity, especially while we can, you know, keep getting better with practices and preseason games. This is where you find out what your personnel is going to be. This is where you find out, you know, do I need to add this niche to my repertoire or not? And that's what it pretty much comes down to. So, you know, like I said, we got a big week of practice here coming up that we get a change in the arsenal, so to speak, or the target with having a joint practice, and I'm looking forward to it. And guys, you know, really finding their edge as they get prepared for the next game.
Thank you, Cam.
All right, there's Cam Newton after the win tonight for the Patriots over the Washington football team. McLennan. We should all know that.
It's not. That's not accurate.
I'm not sure that's right.
McCorkle?
It's supposed to be McCorkle.
I think it's McCorkle.
Can I just say though, I get it.
McLennan would be better.
The whole internet wrong.
I get the Mac, the Cam Newton and people being enamored with him. He's an easy guy to like. Yeah. He's an easy guy to like the way he carries himself in press conferences.
You've been saying that since last year.
He answers the questions. He takes responsibility. He does a lot of the things, not to compare him to Brady in any way, but Brady will talk a lot and really not say anything, but he kind of lulls you into this, wow, he's really giving me a lot here. Even if he's not, he does that part of it, and I think
Jokes.
I think I see why the coaches like him too. I want certain things from him on the field that
completions.
A little bit of that, but I got a lot of it last year, and I get it again this year. I get it.
Yeah,
he is likable.
Hey,
I would agree.
Real quick, where was Kendrick Bourne tonight?
I think he had like one catch.
Yeah, it's kind of inconspicuous.
He came in on 3rd and long. Were there a lot of 3rd and longs for the Patriots tonight?
There were some. I will say, early in the game, I thought it was interesting that Harry was. Remember how we were talking, Mike, that it was more Christian Wilkerson than Harry with Aguilar out. Well, tonight they let Harry play right away. Now, he wasn't targeted at all in the first half. And Bourne, I think they opened with Harry, Myers,
Jakob. Initially, Jakob.
On the first play, Jakob was out there?
out there for the first play, but but then they brought in 2 tight ends. I was just weird. I mean,
I just thought it was interesting that
invisible
that Harry was out there ahead of Bourne and Wilkerson just to start.
Especially with Bourne, who's really been one of the top 2-3 guys the whole time that we've seen. It's just something that surprised me.
I seem to remember a couple of 3rd and longs that they did run plays on that turned into 4th and not quite as longs. So the 3rd and long plays don't stand out in my mind because I don't think they necessarily really going for it.
But I just remember the first 3rd and long, Bourne was out in the field. I'm like, okay, maybe he's part of this, long yardage package.
Yeah, he had some good days last week. I just was surprised he was so invisible given, what the state of the receiving.
But really, all of the receivers were largely invisible except for Wilkerson. He was the only one that was targeted multiple times.
9 times.
Really.
Yeah.
9. And everybody else, it seemed, had 1 or 2. I think Smith had 2. I think Myers had 2 or 3. I think Bourne had like 1. Like Harry had 1. Yeah. I don't think they spread it out all that. It wasn't like a Tom Brady game where everybody got a piece.
I think it was. The receivers are out there to go downfield and open up the middle for J.J. Taylor and in the short passing game. And I think that's maybe next week we'll see a little bit more downfield.
Final thoughts on the game as we wrap things up in the postgame show, Fred?
Like I said, I saw enough tonight where I'm eager to see what's next.
Yeah. Good start. Let's get to Philly, see some joint practices. It's only going to ramp up from here. There's going to be more to really digest and not, walkthroughs and things like that you're not going to take anything away. This is a good start, but let's go.
Yeah, I agree with Mike. I'm more looking forward to those 2 practices in Philly than I was tonight or the game next Thursday.
Look, we could have come out of this game being like, uh-oh, but we're not.
We're not.
I don't think any of us.
Well, you are.
I don't think any of the 4 of us would have I don't think anything could have happened tonight that the 4 of us would have said, like it's preseason.
No, but there could have been some.
There could have been a couple of things.
Well, injuries, sure. But not.
But like if both Cam and Mac pooped themselves, we'd be like, oh boy.
Well, I guess my takeaway
we got a long way to go.
Much like the post-game show, they left me wanting more.
Yeah.
And what
I want to see another game, said someone famous once.
Yeah. What I want to see is a second preseason game that reminds me of an old school 3rd preseason game. So maybe we'll get something like that. But
will we get it? Tune in next week.
Yes. For the Patriots pregame, is it still a social? I didn't see it. No, it's not. No, show,
not social.
We're no longer sociable. It's just a show.
Why do we not call it the social anymore?
I think that's an off-air conversation.
Probably that pederast Hanrahan is always looking for a promotion.
So join us for that next week, 22-13, final score for the final time. Here from Gillette Stadium, where
that gets me every time too.
The Patriots beat the Washington football team for Fred Kirsch, Mike Dussault, Paul Perillo, Matt LePan, and Matt Morrell. Thank you so much for all your hard work, gentlemen. We will catch you next time here from Gillette Stadium.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.